But fundamentally, there is no business jihad will not fulfill its higher aspiration if the way business is carried is through non-halal methods or resulted in unethical practices, corruption, or even causing harm to life, for example, to the ecology, to nature, to society. For example, if it results in a breakdown of society, people become selfish, inward-looking, materialistic, individualistic, hedonistic. So, which means fundamentally, halal must be there as a foundation. The next level is to make sure that it results in good, maximum good, manfaat, as well as a very important percept and ideal in Islam, adil. That means socially just, economically also social and economic justice for society, which is not happening, unfortunately, under capitalism, extreme capitalism today, especially practiced by the West. And many Muslim countries are simply just jumping on the bandwagon, unfortunately. And as a result, we are finding that conflict, therefore, occurs in Muslim societies themselves. Even in Muslim individuals who are businessmen. They go into business, they become rich, and then suddenly they realize that they are playing the game according to the tune laid down by extreme capitalism. So we need to do it differently. Jihad business doesn't mean that we want to get rid of capitalism. It's not a substitute to capitalism. The extremes of capitalism that we want to avoid. It's a question of therefore doing business on a market-driven basis, but avoiding all the extreme consequences, the negative extreme consequences of capitalism. For example, uncaring towards non-business, the larger silent majority of population everywhere among non-businessmen. Jihad business means how to get non-businessmen involved into business activities, interested in business activities, or at least they are not being alienated or just simply abandoned and forgotten. So they are brought in within the total gamut of the social system, so that everybody can say that they are part of a system which is caring, unselfish, fair, adil, socially and economically just. If you want to be successful in business, the quickest way is to trade with the rich. And if the rich are not Muslims, offer whatever services or products that you can sell to them and to make money from them. So there's nothing wrong with that. So to me, it is not who you deal with, it is how. So the issue is really how you deal with. How do you approach business? How do you accumulate capital? Is it riba-based funding and financing? That means also if you are going to the non-Islamic funding approach, then the non-halal element comes in again. That means halal means it goes across the board. The way it is funded, the way it is organized, is it exploitative? Is it going to end up with a monopoly? Are you going to cause harm to society, to people, to customers, to everybody? So that means there has to be a whole rethinking of how business is to be performed and done, and how it is going to be organized and structured. That's why in Jihad business, we have also thought through and say that perhaps one of the best way to structure and organize a business is through the mechanism of a Waqaf corporation. Because when you have a Waqaf corporation means it is not owned by individuals or groups, it is not exclusive to a few, to the rich, and it must also bring with it a program to care for non-business communities, for the needy, for the poor. Because otherwise it's not Waqaf. There must be a corporate social responsibility, which is the Amal component of Waqaf corporation, must be by definition. You see, today there are many Muslims who do not like many aspects of the way business is performed in the West. Even in America itself and in Europe, they themselves are losing faith and trust, particularly in the banking sector as a recent crisis on it, in the system. They themselves are looking and seeking for a solution, another way of doing business. More so with Muslims, we have a duty because to do exactly the way as is performed in the West, with all the harm, the negative effects it has caused and so on, is not a solution. So we have to put our thinking caps. And Jihad business is about challenging, particularly Muslims, so that we think afresh and think Islamic in terms of wealth acquisition, wealth accumulation, bearing in mind the higher principles of Islamic teaching.